A very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome back in the session of trust building. Now, in the last session, we have discussed about few of the points like uh, how to promote transparent communication. Now, you might be thinking that how communication and trust plays a important role, like how communication is important for building the trust. So see, it is because of the communication, the loopholes in the communication. There's no proper communication, because of which the trust is broken. Like the transparency in the process of communication, transparency in communication is something which is very important when it comes to building the trust, when it comes to making an organization a place where employees trust each other. Because in the last session and previous sessions also, we have already discussed that trust plays a very important role in smooth working in the success of the organization. Because if trust is each and every person's work in the organization is dependent on other person, and if you are not going to trust that person, do you think that it will be easy to make people work together? No, until and unless there is no trust, until and unless people do not trust each other, they won't be able to work properly. They won't be able to work together, creating good environment. Because see, trust is something which evades the conflict, which reduces the disagreement, and which helps in the smooth working of the organization. So now in today's session, we are going to talk about what are the ways by which you can establish effective transparent communication. Because the places where communication is going to be transparent, communication is going to be effective, it is ultimately going to make or build trust between the employees. So when we are talking about transparency in communication, there are some ways which you can adopt to establish effective communication. Because see, transparency in the communication means it's two-way process where whatever is communicated clearly without hiding anything. There is no hidden fact, there is no hidden things which are being kept secret when the person is communicating. Let's say a new project has been started. Details related to the project, like the deadlines, the due dates, who is responsible, the project, that everything has been cleared, everything has been communicated transparently to the people so that there is no space for distrust to happen or conflict to arise. First way is trust your employees. Again, something very important that, see, in the organization, we do believe that trusting people is very important. If you're not going to trust the employees, you'll see that people are not delivering the results just because they think that somewhere they are not being trusted by you. You as an individual, you as a leader, as a manager, it is very important that you show trust, you show faith on people in your team, in your organization. So trust your employees. This is the way by which you are creating an environment of transparent communication. When we are not going to trust the people, definitely we are not going to share the exact facts and figures with them. But if you are sharing the exact facts, figures, you are sharing the complete information, transparent, crystal clear information with the people, that means that you are trusting your employees, you're trusting your manpower. Your organization is showing the faith, the trust on you. That is going to build trust of the employees towards the organization. Chicken before the egg. Very, we cannot get. Can you get chicken before the egg? What does this proverb mean? Chicken before the egg. Have you ever heard about this? It means it's a situation where it is impossible to say which of the two things, or which of the two people, which of the two things, like trust, you trusting the employer, employer trusting you, exists first, and which causes the other one. It is something where you cannot say that, okay, my employer has trusted me, that's why I'll be trusting the employees, or vice versa, that your employee have shown trust towards me, so I, being the employer, I'm going to trust them. So you cannot predict that situation, that what was the reason of building this strong trust between the two people. That is why we say chicken before egg. Second point says, start being transparent by trusting and empowering your employees to make decision on their own. This is another and very important way by which you can show trust towards your employees. You can show trust, you can show faith towards your employees, and that is by giving them the responsibility and authority to take the decision, to make the decision by themselves. Yes. So, see, when you are going to allow them to take the decision, what effect it will make? You might be thinking that if being the employer, being the leader, being the manager, if I allow my employees to take their own decision, how it is going to make difference? If I'm giving them the authority, if I'm giving them the responsibility to take the decision, they'll feel that yes, my decision. Why I'm allowing you to take the decision? Very simple question. Can I randomly select any one person and ask them to take the decision related to the project themselves? No. But if I am selecting a person, if I am giving that authority to the person to make their own decision, that means somewhere I'm showing my trust on that person, that yes, I know you can do it. I trust you. I trust your decision. These trust is not something where you have to speak with your mouth that I trust you, I trust you, keep on shouting that I trust you, I show trust on you. No, it is something which you have to show using your gestures, using the way you deal with those person. It is something which you have to show by your actions, not by the words. And this action of allowing them to make decision on their own is something which is going to show trust, which is going to show the employees that yes, my employer, my manager, my leader trust me, and that is why they are giving me the responsibility as well as the authority to make the decision as and when required to accomplish the task. So this is again another way by which you are being transparent with the employees, and you are fostering, you are promoting the environment of trust. No micromanaging and letting employees perform their duties. Many places, many leaders are still in the habit of micromanaging. They think we only know everything, and if we are not going to check more often, if we are not going to check regularly, then ultimately they might not deliver the proper and the best result. Nowadays, no employee want to work under a person with a leader who is micromanaging the task. Why? When a person has been appointed for a specific set of responsibility, that means his educational qualification, maybe his experience is related to that specific field. Initially, for first and second project, when the person is new to the organization, if the person is doing micromanaging management, the employer will be okay. But if this has become the regular habit, like even after 6 months, even after a year of working in the organization, the leaders are still focusing on micromanaging the thing, the employees are not going to entertain, because micromanagement is something which shows that people do not trust you. Your leader, your employer do not trust you. It is something which is going to show that to the employee. An environment where there is no trust between the leader and the employees, they cannot work together for a longer duration, or maybe it is somewhere going to affect the quality and the productivity and the efficiency of the employees. So do not do micromanage and let people perform their duties. I'm not telling you that you do not have to keep an eye on what the employees are doing. It is very important to keep an eye on the people, that what they are doing, so that in case they need any kind of help, you are right there to support them. But asking them after every 2 hour about their update, about their progress, how much they have done, what they have done, how much is left, it is something which no person is willing to do. And that is why we say it is very important that you do not micromanage the thing. Rather, you allow the people to perform their duties the way they want to do. You can have regular, let's say the task, the work which you have given is for a month. You can have regular meetings, like twice a week. You can have the meeting where you're taking the update, or every day just for 5 minutes you are conducting the meeting for taking the update. That is fine, but do not put your nose into each and every step which the person is doing. Establishing a culture where continuous learning is encouraged. So along with this, it is very important that every person who's entering into the corporate, who is working, they want to grow as an individual also. They want to learn continuously. They want to upgrade their knowledge continuously. And for that, it is important that we allow them to do that. So for allowing them to do that, make sure that you are establishing a culture where you are promoting them. You are helping them to upgrade their knowledge, to learn new things, new skills, new technology. So basically, it's upgrading themselves, which will encourage them to stay in the organization in the environment of trust, where people are going to show belief on the leader and the organization, because you are providing them something which they are looking for. Every individual, no matter at whatever position the person is, every individual looks towards upgrading themselves, having a platform where their continuous learning is encouraged. Normalize giving and receiving straightforward feedback in daily work. Normalize that thing, giving and receiving the straightforward feedback, because see, feedbacks are something which are required, but feedback should be given in a proper way. So you need to normalize that thing in related to the daily work. The second way of establishing transparent communication is have determined roles. Sorry. Yes. Have defined roles. In an organization, if you want the organization to grow, if you want the organization to move towards success, it is important that you start focusing on giving them their defined role, definite role. If you keep on changing their roles from time to time, it is going to be difficult for them to understand that what exactly their work is, what exactly their responsibility is. You need to set the clear expectations. You need to set the clear things that, okay, this is your role, this is what you are supposed to do. So setting the clear roles, responsibilities, expectation is something which is going to help you to develop, to foster the environment of trust. Why it is going to foster the environment of trust is because when there is going to be clear roles, defined roles and responsibilities, all of a sudden a person cannot stand and enter into conflict or disagreement that I was not aware this is my role and responsibility. You can simply say that it was already been communicated to you that these are your roles and responsibilities. Define roles and clearly stating expectation. Define the roles clearly, and along with the clear roles, make sure you are also stating what you expect from them. What are your expectation? That is also something which is very important. So make sure that you are setting the clear expectation, and along with that, you are defining the roles, clear roles to each and every employee that this is your role. This is what you are supposed to do. Have a clear company hierarchy. Yes. Why hierarchy is important? Can anyone tell me? Why do we say that company's clear hierarchy is required? There might be some reason for which the company's clear hierarchy is required. Okay. Company's clear hierarchy is required because it will help the people to know that with whom they have to communicate. It will help the people to understand that, okay, this is my role, this is my duty, and here this is what I have to communicate. So having the clear hierarchy will give the clarity to the employees that who is their immediate reporting boss, who is the immediate person who is going to instruct them, who's going to assign them their roles, responsibility, their task. So that is why it is very important to know the clear hierarchy, and that hierarchy should be communicated to each and every employee, whether new or old, new intern or the existing employee. Everyone should be on same page if we talk about the hierarchy of the company, because hierarchy of the company do not change for existing and the old employees. The hierarchy of the company will always remain the same. So it is important that you always tell them about the hierarchy, that what is going to be the hierarchy of the organization. Next comes is create an organizational chart to accomplish its goal. Organizational chart is something which is going to help to achieve the organizational goal, to accomplish the organizational goal. Because see, every organization have some set goals, and each and every employee working in the organization is working towards accomplishing those set goals only. So create an organizational chart to accomplish those goals. Using software like Pinkboard is great for encouraging transparency in the workplace. So nowadays, when the people, the users have become technology friendly, it is very important that you start using these technological friendly devices, technological softwares which will help you to promote the transparency in the workplace. Like, what you can do, you can use these softwares where people can update about the things that, okay, this is the work which is done, this much is achieved, this person is responsible for this specific task, the immediate reporting person, the project head, the leader, everything, everything can be there in that software, which will make easy for the employees to communicate the progress of the task, and along with that, in case if they require any kind of help, so they'll know that who all are the person who are involved in this specific task and whom they can approach to get the help. So start using these softwares which will help you to create the transparency. Earlier when we were working, physically working in the organization, it would have been very easy. It would have been Yes. So when we are going to use these kind of softwares, it will help to promote and to have transparency in the workplace. For example, after you create an organizational chart, outline all employees' role, you can easily share that information with your team so that they can understand how everyone work fit together. Now when teams are working virtually, earlier when we were working in the physical office, it was quite easy. We can communicate. We can easily communicate with each other, and we can get to know that who's responsible for what, or there might be many other ways by which we can have that transparency. But when people are working virtually, people are not sitting in front of each other. So it is really very difficult to find out the roles, responsibilities of each and every employee in the organization, not in the organization, even in the team. It is difficult to find out that which person is responsible for what work. So to solve that issue, to bring clarity, to bring transparency in that communication, it is important that we use these kind of softwares and we update these softwares from time to time if there is any change in the organizational chart. Outline the chart, put it over there so that each and every person in the team is aware about the roles and responsibilities of all the employees, of all the team members, and it will also help them to know that how everyone work fit together, that how each and every person's work is dependent upon the work of other person. Now, what's the third way? The third way is meet with your team regularly. The more you meet, the more you interact, the more bond, the more trust, the more strong relation you build, the more you get to know each other. That, okay, this is the team member, the weakness, strength, the areas of interest, everything you will get to know when you are going to meet with the person more often. So schedule and stick to having regular company-wide meeting. Make it a strict schedule that whether required or not, whether there is anything urgent to be discussed or not, but we are going to have regular company-wide meeting. I'm not talking about team meeting. Team meeting we do conduct regularly, maybe every day we are conducting the team meeting, but I'm talking about the company-wide meeting where the people from the company, all over the company, from and all the employees of the company will be there, that at least every month we all are going to meet, and that should be a strict schedule where each and every person in the organization is supposed to join that meeting. And just have a proper schedule. Do not randomly today, okay, let me just keep a meeting for tomorrow for the company wide meeting. No, make it a plan, make it a schedule that every last Friday or every last Monday or the first Monday of the month we are going to conduct the meeting. When you are going to have a specific schedule, it will help the people to be mentally prepared for these kind of meetings, which is very important. If let's say you are conducting the meeting here, because as it says, schedule and stick to having regular company wide meeting, you are conducting the meeting, but if people are not joining, do you think your purpose of conducting the meeting is getting solved? No, your purpose of conducting the meeting is not getting solved if you are not meeting with your team regularly, if the people are not joining the meeting. So that is why it is said that schedule and stick to having regular company wide meeting. That the meeting is supposed to be at this time and it is going to be at this time. Explain and implement changes in the company to everyone at once. If you're bringing any kind of changes, make sure that you are bringing all the employees together, and then you are explaining them, and then you are implementing the changes in the company to everyone at once. Everyone in the company should be on the same page. Let's say you are soon going to enter into a very, very big contract where you are going to invest a lot. It is very important that you explain that thing, you implement that change, like whatever change is required in the hierarchy, in the team, you bring that, you make those changes and you inform about those changes to everyone at once. Next is enabling your staff to ask question about any changes and letting you avoid having to repeat the same messaging. Enable your staff. Let them ask the question about the changes which are being made. And do not avoid those avoid those questions. Answer them. If you want to avoid answering the same question over and over again, for this, what you need to do, inform everyone, bring everyone on the same place, tell them about the things, so that, let's say 10 people are having the same doubt. If one person is asking the doubt for another 10 people get solved. That is why, save your time, learn how to manage the thing, because it is the only way by which you can manage yourself. You can manage your time. Get together and try some of ice breaking activities to help you and your team get to know one another better and build a sense of collaboration. Organize, see, team is something which is not going to stay together, which is not going to be with each other until and unless you do not have those activities which are going to bring the team together. It is very important that you bring your entire team together, because if you are not bringing your team together, if you are not bringing them into an informal communication, informal conversation, it is going to be very difficult to build trust and to make them work together. So, for making them work together, make sure that you organize the get togethers. It need not to be very frequent. Like say, it need not to be every week, it need not to be every month, but at least in a quarter, in 2 months, that should be there, where you are calling the people to come together so that they can interact with each other, they can have that collaboration. So get together and try some ice breaking activities to help you and your team to get to know each other. The more you're going to know each other, the more you are going to build that trust, right? Okay. With this, we have finished off that what are the ways by which you can promote the effective, transparent communication in the organization. Once the communication has become effective, then you can definitely make your organization, make your team having strong bond of trust with each other, which will help in the smooth working of the organization. That is why we say that transparent communication is directly related to building the trust in the organization. Now, next way, what is the way by which you can build the trust? Okay, as on the screen, you can say keep promises. Keep your promises. What do you understand by keeping your promises? What do you understand by keeping your promises, and how keeping the promise is going to build trust? What do you think? How keeping the promises in the organization is going to build trust? Let's forget about the organization. Let's talk about we as an individual. Now, we as an individual, if a person, let's say a friend, promise something, and if they're not keeping the promise, let's say for once, for twice, for thrice, will you trust that person in near future? No. So when you know your friend, the person is very good friend of mine, yours, still if that person is not keeping the promise, that breaks your trust. So in the organization, there are different people who belong from different culture, who belong from different places. They are working together. And if they are working together, and if they do not keep promises with each other, do you think it is going to help the organization to build trust? No. So it is very important for building trust in the organization that people start keeping their commitments, start keeping their promise. Whatever they commit, whatever promise they make, they start fulfilling that thing. And that is the only way by which a person can build trust in the organization. So, what is a promise? What is a promise? Promise are merely the commitments which we do, that okay, we are going to accomplish this work, we are going to fulfill this responsibility. You take the charge of something and you finish it off because you have promised to do so. It can be a promise to finish the task. It can be a promise to help the other person. It can be a promise to yourself. Promise need not only be with the out with the person, with the other person. It can be with you also. So what is a promise? How do you define promise? In my terms, I tell it is the commitment, basically a commitment which is made for doing, for accomplishing something. But if I ask you in your words, what do you think? What is a promise? Can we say it is an assurance that, okay, I am going to fulfill this responsibility, or I am going to do this work? Is it the assurity? Is it the assurance? Is it the declaration of doing something, that one will do something, or that a particular thing, a particular event is going to happen because the person has promised? Yes, it is that only. It is a commitment, it is a declaration, it is the assurance with which a person makes of fulfilling, of doing an activity or the task. So, what is a promise? Promise are hard work. Yes, definitely it is a hard work, because it is very easy to make the promise, but to abide on that, to fulfill the promise, needs your hard work, your dedication, your efforts. Sitting here, I can make n number of promises that, okay, I promise to do this, I promise to come to your home tomorrow, I promise to give a party, I promise to crack the job interview, I promise to get the promotion next year. I can do a lot of promise, but do you think by just making the promise, merely saying that I promise to do all these things, I will be able to deliver my promise? No. I'll only be able to deliver my promise if I do the hard work. If I give my dedication, my time, my efforts, my energy to perform my task, then only I can keep my promises. Then only I can fulfill my promises. Promises are meant to be taken seriously? Yes. Many people says promises are made to be broken, but actually when promises, if you think that promises are made to be broken, then simply you are saying that the trust you have made, you have built, is built to be broken. Because if you break the promise, it is not only the promise which you are breaking, along with the promise, it is the trust which you are breaking. It is the honesty. It is your dedication which you are losing. That is why I say that promises are meant to be taken seriously. Promises are definitely the commitments which are made. It can be in the organization, it can be outside the organization. It can be the commitment towards the project, it can be commitment with your subordinate. But yes, promises are taken to be the commitments. Promises are an affirmation of love, friendship, family, and human connection. If you promise something, if you do something, then yes, you are in a state to deliver, to give the better results. The promises aren't just what you do for others. Promise should never go beyond your own boundaries. So, promises, as I told you, that promises are not just something which you commit to other person. Promises are something which you make to yourself as well, that okay, I promise something and I'm going to do that. I'm going to achieve that task. I'm going to deliver the results. So, promises are not just what you do for others. It is also something what you do for yourself. And promise should never go beyond your own boundaries. Again, it is very important that whenever you are keeping the promises, you're aware about your own boundaries as well. You know that, okay, this is my promise, this is my commitment, and how much am I supposed to do? It is good to keep the promises, but it is never a good idea to that for promises you are crossing your boundaries, you are trying to go beyond your boundaries. That is never a good idea. So make sure we are not doing that, right? Okay, so this is what is known as how what is a promise and what are the ways by which we can keep the promise, like how do we keep the promise, that we are going to discuss in the next session of trust building. Till here, if you have any doubt, please ask. Till here, if you have any doubt, please clarify. You can definitely ask. Okay, see, when I'm talking about promises should never go beyond your boundary, that means do not make any such promise which you know that you cannot keep. You know, if someone asks you to make a promise that makes you feel uncomfortable, that makes you, that lands you into a very difficult situation, stay stay true to yourself and tell them that they are asking too much from you. You know, when I'm telling you to keep promises, that only means that if you have committed something, if you have made any kind of promise, then you are supposed to stick to that promise. You are supposed to be on that promise. But that doesn't mean that if someone is asking you that you have to promise me this thing, and even if you have not agreed, you are bounded to fulfill that. No, you are not bounded to fulfill that. If someone asks you to do something which you say is beyond your personal boundaries, tell them honestly that whatever you're asking me to do is beyond my boundaries. It is something which I cannot do. Stay true to yourself. You do not, for keeping the promises, you do not have to push yourself hard enough and put yourself into an uncomfortable situation. That is not what is required to keep the promises. You know, we do agree that promises are something which are very important, which are very vital part of building the relationship. But if we make the promise, if someone is forcefully asking us to promise something, if someone is forcefully asking us to do something, for that we are not bound to do that thing. Is this clear now? Okay, so with this, we have come to the end of the today's session of trust building. Now we are going to start off with the next session lined up for the day, that is virtual team building and management. So we'll start the next session in next 10 minutes. Bye bye. Have a wonderful day.